It was a happy new year. It was awesome. Go ahead, fire away, guys.
Your defense has only been allowing, I have to look at it, 15 points per game since like week 8. Like, what do you think has been the thing, I guess, that's made everything click?
Well, look, I mean, there's a process that you go through, and there was a lot of change, you know. I'm in a new role. I got some assistant coaches that are in a new role. We brought in some new players. We've had a lot of injuries in a lot of different positions, and so, it just, it's taken a little bit of time, but that's why you have something that you believe in, and you stick with it, and you keep grinding and keep working, and I think what we've done here is proven that it can be successful in our league, and so our guys have kind of stuck with that, and I think we're seeing some of the fruits of that labor now.
You answered the question about Alontae Taylor versus Paulson Adebo. I didn't realize at that time they played 0 snaps. You guys have rotated a lot at that position. What led to the decision that that it was Paulson full game?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, we kind of went in with the plan that it was going to be Lattimore and Adebo starting out the game, and we just see kind of how the game went. I felt like for the majority of that game that we were playing really, really well defensively, and so we just kept with the same group out there. But look, Alontae's a good player. We really like him. He's a young player that's shown a ton of promise, and he'll have plenty of opportunities.
And then when it comes to really high-profile plays, we've seen like a couple of splash plays from Alontae Taylor that generated a lot of attention. We've seen a couple of the opposite with Paulson, just like 1 or 2 plays that really stood out. Tampa this game. But when you guys are reviewing the film, I mean, is Paulson really playing at a high level?
Yeah, look, he's playing well. The way that we play, we put our corners on an island a lot, and you got to be a big boy to be able to play out there, because there hasn't been any great corner in our league that hasn't gotten beat every now and then. It happens in our league. And so you have to be, thick-skinned and tough-minded, and certainly, I feel like our corners are that. And so, like I said yesterday, look, it's a really good problem to have, that we have the number of good players that we do, back in the back end.
Dennis, I know obviously finishing on a 4-game winning streak is important, but now that you, I guess, have been eliminated from the playoffs, does the mindset or the approach change or the message change to anybody in any way?
You play this game to, I don't want to sound cliche, but I mean, look, you play this game to win. That's what our job is. That's the chosen profession of all of us that are in the National Football League. We signed up to go and win. And so I don't ever see that really changing around here. We're going to go into this game and do what we need to do that gives us what we feel like gives us the best chance to win.
I assume that means stick with the quarterback. You guys see that a lot.
Yeah, I don't see any changes there.
And what about players like Alontae Taylor, Trevor Penning? Is there a value to trying to win, but also trying to get young players?
Yeah, certainly, and we'll go through that process this week to see how the game plans are going to map out. We've got to go through all the injury reports and everything to see where we're at, from an injury standpoint. So there's a lot of things that go into making all these decisions, and we'll do that, throughout the rest of the day today and into tomorrow as we're putting in the plan, and we'll kind of go from there.
Will a week like this kind of have you more lean towards sitting maybe a player that could play through an injury, but?
Yeah, I think guys that are healthy enough to play, my anticipation is that they'll play in this game. Certainly we don't want to put anybody in any sort of jeopardy if they're not capable of performing their job at the appropriate level. But, we get paid to show up on Sundays. That's what we do. And so that would be what I would expect.
Sorry, better way to ask that. You already answered it. It would have been, would you be more cautious with players that have injuries but would typically play through them if they
Yeah,
if the playoffs were available?
I think all those kind of become case by case basis, but it's really more about if they're capable of going out and playing and performing at a high level, then we should play.
Kind of following up on the evolution of the defense, team-wide, a lot of those injuries came early in the year. Did it take a while to figure out how you wanted to tweak things to adjust to who was in there and how you could better play complementary football and do all the things you wanted to do because you didn't have the guys you expected?
Yeah, that's all part of it. It's all part of evolving as the season goes on. And look, like I said, I mean, we still haven't played a whole game with our anticipated starting secondary. And so that's been a work in progress, and yet, I think our pass defense has been pretty good this year. Yeah, each and every week you're always trying to adjust and change based on who you have available to you, and kind of how you can play the game and what the matchups are and things of that nature. So all those things are factors.
I know you gave them a game ball yesterday, but now that you slept on it, 30-year records don't fall every day. Just how special is that? You've been here a long time. You know Ricky Jackson and the history. Just kind of, I know you talked about it yesterday, but I still want to ask again. Just how special it is for him in this organization.
Well, look, it's awesome to see. Like we as coaches take great pride in the success of our players. And I've been fortunate enough to be around, Cam for a number of years now. And especially guys that, really embody what you want in a player. We talk about being tough. We talk about being smart. We talk about being competitive. Like he's got all of those characteristics. A guy that's durable, that's available. To think that, he had one COVID game and one fluke orbital bone fracture that, he would have played through, but we wouldn't let him, And so, like having guys like that and seeing those guys have that type of success and it's just, it's cool to see. But there's a reason why he's the franchise leader in sacks. And it's all those things that we just talked about. Sure, a lot of it has to do that he's big and he's strong and powerful. And, he's got speed. But it's more about the mental makeup, and what's inside his heart that really, has allowed him to do the things that he's been able to do. And, I know I looked at some stat today talking about, I guess 7 straight weeks, I think we've held opponents to 20 or less, and then you go back and you look, and the last time it happened was back in the Dome Patrol days of 91, 92. And so anytime you're comparing anybody, whether it be Cam to Ricky Jackson or some of our defensive stats to what happened in the Dome Patrol days, I think that's pretty good company, in terms of New Orleans Saints history.
When you say you've shown over time that what you guys do on defense works in this league, was it important for you to show it to this team this year? You said you got a new coaching staff.
It's important. It's important every year. And so, look, and I know that there's doubters out there, and I'm comfortable with that. I understand that. But I think the resume speaks for itself in terms of what the Saints defenses have been able to do, going all the way back to 17 and through now. And so that's why we never panicked when things weren't going exactly the way that we wanted it to go, because we knew that at the end of the year we felt like we were going to be still one of the better defenses in our league, and we got one more game to go out and try to prove it.
you guys always say you want to be playing your best football at the end of the season, and it seems like you are after yesterday, obviously. Is it a bittersweet feeling that, all around you go out and the team plays that well and it has a lot of momentum, but it's not meaningless, but there's no postseason?
Yeah, well, look, nothing's meaningless.
Right.
You know, all these things, you know what I mean? Like all these things matter. Yeah, look, you look back and say, damn, I wish we'd have taken advantage of a couple opportunities that we had, that we didn't take advantage of. But that's, there's nothing that can be done about that now. So how do we learn that lesson, so that as we progress and go in the future, that we don't put ourselves in those situations again. And so, a lot of times you can learn a lot, from your failures as much as you can from your successes. And so, hopefully we look at this and say, look, we let some opportunities slip through our fingers, and no different than a game. You get in a game, and when you have an opportunity, I said this a couple weeks ago, you have an opportunity to put a team away and you don't do it, you give them more chances, and so then you play the what if game. But all we can control right now is how we finish out this season. And we talked about after the Tampa game, we said, look, we don't control our own fate in terms of the playoffs. Okay, what we do control is how we play the last 4 games, and we talked about trying to go 4-0. Well, that's still out there for us, and so that's where we're sitting right now.
And how impactful would that strong finish be going into the offseason, building momentum into your
Yeah, look, I think that's important as we go into the offseason. You want to go into the offseason with a good feeling about yourself, about your team. I don't know that that's going to have any bearing on how next season goes. You know what I mean? But what we want to do is we want to try to finish this thing out the right way.
Is there something to putting sort of the winning culture on display with that 4-game win streak?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think that's all part of the, mindset, culture, whatever terms you want to use to describe that. But yeah, I mean, again, this game's about winning. It's about production, and so we're going to try to, every time we go out there, we're going to try to win. And look, we've given ourselves opportunities this year, and we haven't won as many as we would have liked, and feel like there was a few opportunities that slipped through our fingers, but can't do anything about those now. What we got to do is focus on, this game this week, Carolina coming into our place. They've been playing some good, tough, football, and it'll be a tough challenge.
I know that you can't control it, but given the fact that there are a 24-hour news cycle and social media, do you?
You don't have to remind me of that.
Does it upset you, or is it a distraction when you see Sean Payton come back to the Saints? Sean Payton, I mean, he's your friend. Do you talk to Mickey about it? Do you get upset by it? Is it a distraction to you or the team?
Well, you'd have to ask the team, because I couldn't speak for anybody else. All I can, look, and I learned this a long time ago, you just put your head down and you go to work, and that's all you can do. And so I can't control anything that is said or done outside of this building. That's not, it's not anything I can control, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time worrying about it. I'm going to focus in on trying to get my team prepared the best way that I possibly can to go out and win a game. And we've been better at that over the last 3 weeks.
Is there anything you changed in that regard? I mean, other than sticking to what you know works and knowing it'd come around, was there anything that you learned in this season that changed with that approach?
No, not really. I mean, I think each week, things have been a little bit different in how you approach each week and the message that you want to send to your team. Again, I feel like, the culture that I've been a part of and the way of doing things has proven to be successful in our league. And so just because you go through some hard times doesn't mean that all of a sudden, oh, everything's got to change. You know, sometimes you gotta stick with it. Now, you can't just bury your head in the sand and act like everything's fine. You have to address issues and problems and, make sure you're doing the right things. But I don't think philosophically you go away from what you believe in.
And obviously, social media, fan base, that can be really fickle. How fickle can a locker room be? Like, when you are a 4-9 team, something you haven't experienced last, do you worry about buy-in being fragile, or?
No, because look, it starts with who you bring into that locker room, and if you have the right people that are made of the right mindset, heart, grit, all those terms, like, you don't really worry about that. My job is to just, try to make sure that they don't let any of those outside distractions creep into their head, and we just focus on what's the task at hand. There's a million distractions that go on throughout the year, and you have to be able to block those things out and just focus on what's really important, things you can control, and how we go about doing our job.
Both of the players that came in here before you said they wanted to win this last game for you because they like you, they respect you. Neither of those guys on the defensive side of the ball, so obviously have enjoyed you as a head coach, but they say it doesn't happen all the time. What is your response, or how do you feel when you hear that from your players?
Well, look, a football team is most successful when they work for and play for each other. Whether it be a coach-to-player relationship, coach-to-coach relationship, player-to-player relationship. And so, yeah, look, we all want to win for each other. I take the most pride in going into the locker room after a game and seeing those guys, dancing around in the locker room because I know how much that they put into it. And so, yeah, look, hopefully we all want to win this game. Those are the type of people that need to be, in this organization, the ones that want to go out and win, and regardless of what's at stake.
I guess looking to the future a little bit, like what's your perspective on how the younger players have developed and performed?
Look, there's been some really good growth out of some young players. I mean, Rashid Shaheed, none of you guys knew who Rashid Shaheed was when he first showed up, and for him to develop the way that he has been, outstanding. I know when we took Alontae Taylor in the second round, there was a lot of people that said, what are they doing? And watch his growth. So, yeah, it's awesome to see these young guys, grow up and develop. And they still have a long way to go, but that's what this is about. It's about, acquiring players with talent and the right mindset and developing them.
And you could name a ton more players too, like Carl Granderson and Jawan and.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you name them all, but you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, Granderson's a perfect example.
It's been cool. And look, that was, like, that didn't happen overnight. Takes time. And he's playing some of the best football of his career to this point, so it's awesome to see.
On the flip side, I meant to ask about this earlier, just reminded me. Mark Stamford only 15 snaps in this game. I know Carl has earned more snaps, but is
Yeah,
Mark doing something that's keeping him off the field?
No. I think Carl's playing really well. And so he gets those opportunities.
Do you feel like there's,
Do you feel like, speaking of Davenport, do you think what happened with his hand in the summer has changed how he's played?
No, I don't think so. But that'd be a better question to ask him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see anything that's different, but yet he would probably be able to answer that a little bit better than me.
do you feel like there's something unique about this organization's ability to scout and find undrafted talent?
Yeah, I think when you kind of go through the history of our team, there's been, several guys that, going all the way back to, Pierre Thomas and guys like that, again, nobody really knows about, but it's like they're just made of the right things that give them a chance to have success. And then once you get them here, then it's about growing them and developing them.
Do you think Andy, I know people like Lagos, I know that when he left Cincinnati, he was a backup in Dallas, and he was a backup in, Chicago, and then backup here. Do you think he's proven that he's a starting quarterback, or just a quarterback, we don't need to have that label maybe anymore?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, he's played well for us, he's made a lot of good plays. He's handled the offense the right way. I think we've been efficient with him in there, offensively. And so yeah, I think he has the ability to be a starting quarterback in our league. I don't know. I know we like him here. All good? Okay, thanks.